History is filled with whispers. Secrets linger in the shadows. Some are forgotten. Others refuse to die. The Philadelphia experiment is one such story, a tale whispered in hushed tones, shrouded in mystery. It is a story of a ship, a city, and a mystery that continues to haunt the annals of history. The Second World War was a time of unprecedented technological advancement. Radar, the atom bomb, jet engines. Inventions that reshaped the world emerged from the crucible of conflict. Amidst this maelstrom of innovation, the line between science and science fiction blurred. The impossible seemed tantalizingly within reach. It was against this backdrop of scientific ambition and wartime secrecy that the Philadelphia experiment was allegedly conceived. The details remain murky, obscured by time and conflicting accounts. Some say Albert Einstein himself was involved, his theories on relativity twisted to achieve the unimaginable. Others claim the experiment was a desperate attempt to harness a new form of energy, a force with the power to bend the very fabric of reality. Whatever the motivation, the alleged goal was clear: to cloak a warship, to render it invisible to enemy eyes, to make it vanish into thin air. The stage was set for an event that would blur the lines between fact and fiction, an event that would spark decades of speculation, conspiracy theories, and unanswered questions. The official narrative surrounding the USS Eldridge is a study in contradictions. The US Navy, tight-lipped and evasive, maintains that the Philadelphia experiment never happened. Their story? The Eldridge, they claim, was simply undergoing routine testing, a process known as degaussing. Degaussing, a common practice during World War II, involved running electrical cables around a ship's hull to reduce its magnetic signature, making it less susceptible to magnetic mines. The Navy insists that any unusual phenomena witnessed around the Eldridge were simply the result of this mundane procedure. But the official explanation fails to address the sheer strangeness of the accounts from those claiming to have witnessed the events of that fateful day. The Navy's denials, rather than quelling the rumors, have only fueled the flames of speculation. How could a simple degaussing experiment explain the bizarre and terrifying tales of teleportation, of men fused with metal, of a ship that vanished into thin air? The official story, to many, simply doesn't hold water. It raises more questions than it answers. At the heart of the Philadelphia experiment legend lies the tantalizing possibility of teleportation. Could the Navy, in the midst of a world war, have stumbled upon a way to transport a warship instantaneously across vast distances? Eyewitness accounts, though often contradictory and unreliable, paint a picture of the Eldridge enveloped in a strange green fog, only to reappear moments later in Norfolk, Virginia, hundreds of miles away. Some theories suggest that the experiment involved manipulating electromagnetic fields to create a kind of warp bubble around the ship, allowing it to slip through the fabric of space-time. While mainstream science dismisses the possibility of teleportation on such a scale, the idea continues to capture the imagination. Could the Philadelphia experiment be a glimpse into a future where the constraints of time and space are no longer insurmountable? Section 3. A rift in time and space. Beyond teleportation, some theories venture into even stranger territory. Could the Philadelphia experiment have inadvertently ripped open a hole in the fabric of reality, a portal to another dimension? The accounts of crew members suffering from bizarre side effects, disappearances, mental breakdowns, and even fusion with the ship's structure lend a chilling credence to this theory. Was the Eldridge caught in a dimensional crossfire, its crew subjected to forces beyond human comprehension? Did the experiment unleash energies that we are only beginning to understand? Energies with the power to warp not just space and time, but the very essence of reality itself. The answers, like the experiment itself, remain shrouded in mystery, but one thing is certain: the Philadelphia experiment, regardless of its veracity, continues to haunt us. a stark reminder of the unknown that lurks at the edges of our understanding. Section 1. A City Holds Its Breath. October 28, 1943. Dawn broke over Philadelphia, casting a pale light on the bustling shipyard. The air was thick with the scent of salt, steel, and a growing sense of anticipation. Few knew the true purpose of the experiment about to unfold, but a blanket of secrecy, heavy and suffocating, had settled over the docks. The USS Eldridge, its hull gleaming under the morning sun, was the epicenter of this clandestine operation. On its deck, a labyrinth of cables snaked among strange, bulky equipment, pulsing with an otherworldly energy. Aboard the ship, a sense of unease rippled through the crew. Whispers of the experiment's true nature had circulated, tales of warping space and bending time. Fear mingled with a nervous excitement. They were about to be a part of something unprecedented, something that could change the course of the war, something that could rewrite the rules of reality itself. As the final preparations were made, the city seemed to hold its breath. Unbeknownst to the people of Philadelphia, a moment of profound scientific daring, or perhaps reckless folly, was upon them. The fate of the USS Eldridge and the souls aboard hung precariously in the balance. Section 2. The hum of power. With a low hum, the generators roared to life, sending shivers through the very core of the ship. The air crackled with static electricity as the experimental equipment, a Frankensteinian fusion of science and speculation, began to awaken. A greenish glow, ethereal and unsettling, enveloped the Eldridge, casting eerie shadows on the faces of the apprehensive crew. The hum intensified, growing into a deafening drone that vibrated deep within their chests, a visceral symphony of power about to be unleashed. On the bridge, the captain, his face etched with tension, barked orders that were swallowed by the cacophony of energy surging through the ship. Gauges flickered erratically, needles dancing wildly as if struggling to quantify the forces at play. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of ozone. Time seemed to distort, stretching and contracting in a disorienting waltz. The boundaries of reality, once solid and immutable, began to blur like watercolors bleeding into one another. Section 3. Vanishing Act. Then, with a blinding flash of light, the USS Eldridge simply disappeared. One moment it was there, a steel behemoth bristling with experimental technology. The next it was gone, vanished without a trace. The air, thick with the echo of unimaginable energy, hung heavy with silence. On the docks, witnesses stared in disbelief, their minds struggling to comprehend what their eyes had just witnessed. The impossible had become reality. The USS Eldridge, swallowed by the ether, had ceased to exist. Or so it seemed. The silence was shattered by shouts of confusion, by the frantic scramble to make sense of the inexplicable. Had the experiment succeeded? Had the Eldridge been rendered invisible? Or had it been transported to some unknown realm, a victim of its own audacious ambition? As the initial shock subsided, a chilling realization began to dawn. The USS Eldridge was gone, but the story was far from over. The experiment, whatever its intentions, had unleashed something beyond comprehension, something that would cast a long shadow on the world. Section 4. Echoes in the Void. In the aftermath of that fateful day, the Philadelphia Naval Yard stood eerily silent. The air, once alive with the hum of generators and the bustle of activity, was now heavy with a palpable sense of dread. The disappearance of the USS Eldridge had left an aching void, a tear in the fabric of reality itself. Whispers of the event, hushed and fearful, spread like wildfire, igniting imaginations and fueling a growing sense of unease. The Navy, scrambling to contain the situation, issued a blanket denial. The experiment, they claimed, had never happened. The USS Eldridge was simply undergoing routine maintenance. But the truth, like the ghostly green glow that had enveloped the ship, refused to be contained. The Philadelphia experiment, whether a scientific triumph gone awry or a terrifying glimpse into the unknown, would continue to haunt the annals of history. The questions it raised about the limits of science, the nature of reality, and the consequences of tampering with forces beyond our understanding would linger long after the echoes of that fateful day had faded. Section 1. A glimmer in the distance. While the Philadelphia Naval Yard reeled from the sudden vanishing of the USS Eldridge, hundreds of miles south in the bustling harbour of Norfolk, Virginia, another strange chapter of this maritime mystery was about to unfold. The Norfolk Naval Base, a vital hub of wartime activity, bustled with the comings and goings of warships, a stark contrast to the eerie silence that had descended upon Philadelphia. Sailors, dock workers and officers went about their duties, oblivious to the strange events unfolding far to the north. The date was October 28, 1943, the very same day the Eldridge had vanished from Philadelphia. As the afternoon sun cast long shadows across the harbour, a strange glimmer in the distance caught the attention of several witnesses. A shimmering, almost translucent outline of a ship, as if viewed through a heat haze, began to materialize in the harbour. It appeared out of thin air, a ghostly apparition emerging from the realm of the impossible. Section 2. Spectral Arrival. Word spread quickly through the Norfolk base about the spectral ship materializing in the harbour. Confusion reigned as witnesses struggled to reconcile what their eyes were seeing with the impossible notion of a ship simply appearing out of nowhere. As the shimmering outline solidified, revealing the unmistakable silhouette of a destroyer, a collective gasp rippled through those watching from the docks. It was the USS Eldridge, its hull still faintly glowing with a greenish hue, its presence heralded by an unsettling silence. The Eldridge, or whatever had taken its place, sat in the harbour for a handful of agonizingly long minutes, a silent spectre that seemed to mock the very laws of physics. Sailors on nearby ships, their faces a mixture of awe and terror, later reported feeling a strange sense of disorientation, a dizziness that clung to them like a shroud. Then, as quickly and inexplicably as it had appeared, the Eldridge vanished once more. The ghostly glow dissipated, the shimmering outline dissolved back into the ether, leaving behind only ripples in the water and a profound sense of disbelief. Section 3. Whispers from the Void. The Norfolk sighting, witnessed by dozens of sailors and dock workers, sent shockwaves through the Navy's chain of command. News of the Eldridge's impossible journey, its spectral appearance and disappearance, spread like wildfire, igniting a firestorm of speculation and fear. The official explanation, quickly disseminated and vehemently maintained, was that the witnesses had been mistaken. The Eldridge, they insisted, had never left Philadelphia. It was a case of mass hysteria, a collective hallucination fueled by wartime stress. But the whispers persisted. The witnesses, shaken to their core by what they had seen, refused to be silenced. They knew what they had witnessed: a ship, a crew, a moment ripped from the fabric of reality, defying all reason and logic. The Norfolk incident was more than just a bizarre footnote in the Philadelphia experiment saga. It was a chilling confirmation that something truly extraordinary, something beyond our understanding, had taken place. The Eldridge, it seemed, had become a phantom ship, adrift in the uncharted waters of scientific hubris, its wake littered with unanswered questions and haunted by the whispers of those who had dared to look into the abyss. Section 1. Scars that run deeper. The USS Eldridge, or at least its spectral form, had vanished from the Norfolk harbour as swiftly and inexplicably as it had arrived, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a growing sense of unease. But the true cost of that fateful day, the human toll exacted by the Philadelphia experiment, was only beginning to reveal itself. The sailors who had once manned the Eldridge, those who had stared into the abyss of scientific ambition, were forever changed. They returned, not as heroes, but as haunted souls, their minds and bodies bearing the indelible scars of an experience that defied comprehension. Some were physically marked, their bodies bearing strange burns, their flesh fused with metal as if they had become one with the ship itself. Others suffered mental breakdowns, their minds shattered by the incomprehensible, haunted by visions of otherworldly lights and voices whispering from the void. The Navy, desperate to contain the fallout from the experiment, dismissed their claims as insanity, the ravings of men driven mad by the horrors of war. But the truth, whispered among the families of the afflicted, was far more sinister, far more unsettling. The Eldridge had returned, but its crew had been lost in the abyss. Section 2, The Weight of Silence. For the families of the Eldridge crew, the ordeal was far from over. They were caught in a terrifying labyrinth of silence and misinformation, their pleas for answers met with official denials and veiled threats. Wives reported their husbands waking up screaming in the dead of night, their words incoherent, their eyes filled with a terror that chilled them to the bone. Children recalled their fathers, once strong and vibrant, reduced to shadows of their former selves, their gazes distant, their spirits broken. The government, determined to bury the truth about the Philadelphia experiment, offered little solace. Families were silenced with threats and intimidation, their grief compounded by a suffocating sense of helplessness. Their loved ones were gone, lost in a labyrinth of classified documents and official cover-ups. The weight of silence, heavy and oppressive, settled over those who dared to speak out. A stark reminder of the price of truth in a world where secrets held more power than the lives they destroyed. Section 3, Lost Souls. As the years passed, the stories of the Eldridge crew took on a life of their own, whispered in hushed tones, passed from one sailor to another, a cautionary tale of scientific ambition gone horribly wrong. There were rumors of men disappearing from locked rooms, their bodies simply vanishing into thin air, leaving behind only a faint whiff of ozone and a lingering sense of dread. Others were said to have walked into walls, their forms phasing through solid objects as if the laws of physics no longer applied to them. These were the lost souls of the Philadelphia experiment. Men forever adrift in the twilight zone between reality and nightmare, their minds and bodies irrevocably altered by the forces they had unleashed. They became living reminders of the dangers of tampering with the unknown, their very existence a testament to the hubris of man's scientific endeavors. Their stories, tragic and unsettling, served as a stark warning to those who dared to venture too far into the realm of the forbidden, a reminder that some secrets are best left buried, lest they consume us all. Section 4, A Legacy of Trauma. The Philadelphia experiment, whether a terrifying truth or an elaborate hoax, left an indelible mark on the collective consciousness. It became a symbol of the dark side of scientific progress, a chilling reminder of the potential for unintended consequences when man dared to unlock the secrets of the universe. The stories of the Eldridge crew, their physical and mental anguish, their struggles to reconcile the impossible with their shattered realities, served as a cautionary tale, a reminder that some lines are not meant to be crossed. The legacy of the Philadelphia experiment is a complex one, a tapestry woven from equal parts scientific curiosity, wartime secrecy, and the enduring human need to make sense of the unexplainable. It is a story that continues to fascinate and terrify, to inspire debate and fuel conspiracy theories, but at its heart, it is a story about the human cost of scientific progress, a reminder that even in the pursuit of knowledge, there are some doors that are best left unopened. For in the shadows of scientific discovery, there lurk consequences that can haunt us long after the experiment has ended. To grasp the scientific heart of the Philadelphia experiment, one must delve into the mind of Albert Einstein. His unified field theory, a lifelong pursuit to reconcile the forces of electromagnetism and gravity, forms the bedrock of many theories surrounding the Eldridge. While Einstein himself never publicly acknowledged any involvement in the alleged experiment, the allure of his work, with its implications of warping space-time and bending reality, proved irresistible to those seeking answers in the realm of the unknown. Could Einstein's equations, still shrouded in mystery and mathematical complexity, hold the key to manipulating the very fabric of the universe? Proponents of the Philadelphia experiment believe so. They envision a world where electromagnetic fields, harnessed and amplified to unimaginable levels, could render objects invisible, perhaps even teleport them across vast distances. The concept of invisibility, long relegated to the realm of science fiction, takes on a tantalizing plausibility when viewed through the lens of unified field theory. By manipulating the way light interacts with an object's electromagnetic field, could one theoretically render it invisible to the naked eye, even to radar? The possibility, however remote, is enough to fuel endless speculation and debate. But the unified field theory, even in its most optimistic interpretations, offers no explanation for the bizarre and terrifying human consequences reported in connection with the Philadelphia experiment. The fusion of flesh and steel, the accounts of mental breakdowns and disappearances, these defy even the most imaginative interpretations of Einstein's work. Could there be forces at play beyond our current understanding, forces with the power to warp not just space-time, but the very essence of human existence? While the allure of unified field theory provides a tantalizingly scientific veneer to the Philadelphia experiment, many physicists dismiss it as a bridge too far, a leap from theoretical possibility to reckless speculation. The energy required to manipulate electromagnetic fields on a scale necessary to affect space-time, they argue, would be astronomical, far beyond the capabilities of even the most advanced technology of the 1940s. The very notion of teleportation, even on a small scale, remains firmly in the realm of science fiction. While quantum entanglement offers tantalizing hints of instantaneous connections across vast distances, scaling this phenomenon to the level of a warship with its complex structure and countless atoms seems an insurmountable hurdle. The laws of physics, as we currently understand them, simply don't allow for such a possibility. Furthermore, the lack of any verifiable evidence, beyond anecdotal accounts and dubious testimonies, casts a long shadow of doubt over the entire Philadelphia experiment narrative. The scientific community, by its very nature, demands rigorous proof, reproducible experiments, and data-driven conclusions. In the absence of such evidence, the Philadelphia experiment remains firmly relegated to the realm of speculation, a fascinating but ultimately unprovable anomaly. Yet the enduring power of the Philadelphia experiment lies not in its scientific validity, but in its ability to capture the imagination. It speaks to a deep-seated human desire to push the boundaries of knowledge, to explore the unknown, even if it means confronting the unsettling possibility that some forces are best left undisturbed. Beyond the realm of scientific inquiry, the Philadelphia experiment serves as a stark reminder of the potential human cost of unchecked ambition. The accounts of the Eldridge crew, if even partially true, paint a harrowing picture of the consequences of tampering with forces beyond our comprehension. The fusion of flesh and steel, the mental breakdowns, the disappearances, these become cautionary tales, whispering to us from the abyss of scientific hubris. They challenge us to consider the ethical implications of our relentless pursuit of knowledge, to ask ourselves not just what we achieve, but what we. The Philadelphia experiment, regardless of its veracity, forces us to confront the unsettling possibility that some doors are best left unopened, that some lines of inquiry are too dangerous to pursue. It serves as a chilling reminder that the pursuit of knowledge, while essential to our progress, must be tempered with a healthy dose of humility and respect for the unknown. In the end, the Philadelphia experiment remains an enigma, a puzzle box of science, speculation, and human tragedy. It is a story that continues to fascinate and terrify in equal measure, a stark reminder that the line between scientific breakthrough and catastrophic unraveling can be terrifyingly thin. The Philadelphia experiment, shrouded in mystery from its alleged inception, was met with a swift and decisive curtain of silence from those in power. The United States Navy, faced with the impossible, chose the path of denial. The experiment, they declared, had never happened. The USS Eldridge, they insisted, had simply undergone routine maintenance, its movements documented, its crew accounted for. Official records were redacted, scrubbed clean of any mention of the strange events of October 28, 1943. Witnesses were silenced, sworn to secrecy under threat of court-martial or worse. The weight of the government's denial, heavy and absolute, threatened to crush any dissenting voices. But the truth, like a whisper in the wind, has a way of eluding even the most determined efforts at suppression. The stories persisted, passed from sailor to sailor, whispered in hushed tones in dimly lit bars, their edges blurred by time and retelling, yet their core unsettlingly consistent. The official silence, rather than quelling the rumours, only seemed to amplify them, adding fuel to the fire of speculation. The more the government denied, the more people questioned. The Philadelphia experiment, it seemed, had taken on a life of its own, fueled by the very forces that sought to contain it. Despite the government's best efforts, the story of the Philadelphia experiment refused to be silenced. It found its way into the public consciousness, fueled by whispers and rumours, by late-night radio shows and fringe publications. The more the authorities denied, the more the legend grew, taking root in the fertile ground of Cold War paranoia and a burgeoning fascination with the unknown. In 1955, a book titled by Morris K. Jessup, a self-proclaimed astronomer and UFO researcher, brought the Philadelphia experiment to wider attention. Jessup, who claimed to have received letters from a man named Carlos Allende who detailed his first-hand account of the experiment, presented a compelling, if often fantastical, narrative that captured the public imagination. While Jessup's book was largely dismissed as pseudoscience by mainstream academics, it struck a chord with a growing counterculture fascinated by UFOs, government conspiracies, and the possibility of hidden truths lurking beneath the surface of official narratives. The Philadelphia experiment, once a whispered rumor, became a symbol of the government's potential for secrecy and deception. The story resonated with a public increasingly disillusioned with the Cold War's climate of fear and mistrust. The idea that their own government could conduct such a bizarre and potentially dangerous experiment and then attempt to bury it fueled a growing sense of unease and distrust in authority. In the decades since the alleged events of October 28, 1943, the Philadelphia experiment has become a cultural phenomenon, inspiring countless books, documentaries, and even a Hollywood movie. It has been analysed, debated, debunked, and resurrected with almost religious fervour by believers and skeptics alike. Theories abound, ranging from the scientifically plausible to the wildly speculative. Some suggest the experiment was an attempt to create a Philadelphia Drive, a means of faster-than-light travel, utilising Einstein's unified field theory. Others posit that the Eldridge stumbled into a parallel dimension or ripped open a hole in the fabric of space-time. The lack of concrete evidence, coupled with the government's continued denials, has only served to deepen the mystery. The Philadelphia experiment has become a Rorschach test, its narrative moulded and shaped by individual beliefs and interpretations. It is a blank canvas onto which we project our fears, our fascinations, and our enduring desire to believe in something beyond the mundane. Whether a terrifying truth or an elaborate hoax, the Philadelphia experiment continues to captivate the imagination. It speaks to our fascination with the unknown, our desire to push the boundaries of science and understanding, and our deep-seated mistrust of those in power. It is a story that, like the ghostly image of the USS Eldridge disappearing into the fog, refuses to be fully grasped, leaving us forever adrift in a sea of speculation. The waters of time have a way of obscuring even the most shocking events, blurring the lines between fact and fiction, leaving behind a residue of questions that cling to the hulls of history. The Philadelphia experiment, adrift in a sea of speculation for over half a century, remains one such enigma, a haunting reminder of the unknown depths that lie beneath the surface of our perceived reality. Was it a genuine attempt to unlock the secrets of invisibility, a wartime gamble that backfired with unimaginable consequences? Or was it, as the US Navy steadfastly maintains, nothing more than a mundane degaussing experiment, its legend inflated by whispers, misinterpretations, and the fertile imaginations of those seeking to pierce the veil of secrecy that often shrouds military endeavours? The lack of definitive proof, the conflicting accounts, and the government's persistent denials have only served to solidify the Philadelphia experiment's place in the annals of the unexplained. It has become a cultural touchstone, a cautionary tale whispered in hushed tones, a source of endless fascination for those who dare to question the nature of reality itself. The USS Eldridge, whether a victim of its own impossible journey or merely a pawn in a grander game of misinformation, has sailed into the realm of myth and legend. Its spectral image, flickering in and out of existence on that fateful October day, continues to haunt our collective imagination, a stark reminder that some secrets, like some wounds, never truly heal. The true legacy of the Philadelphia experiment may not lie in the definitive answers it provides, but in the questions it continues to provoke. It compels us to confront the limits of our understanding, to grapple with the possibility that the universe holds mysteries far stranger and more unsettling than we can currently comprehend. It serves as a stark reminder of the double-edged sword of scientific progress, the potential for groundbreaking discoveries to be intertwined with unforeseen and potentially catastrophic consequences. The allure of pushing boundaries, of unlocking the secrets of nature, must be tempered with a healthy dose of caution, a recognition that some forces are best left undisturbed. The Philadelphia experiment, whether a terrifying glimpse into a hidden reality or a testament to the power of human imagination, continues to beckon us towards the horizon of the unknown. It reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge, while essential to our progress as a species, must be tempered with humility, a recognition that we are but small vessels navigating a vast and often turbulent sea of mystery. So, as we peer into the mists of time, seeking to discern the truth behind the legend, let us remember that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but rather pondered, debated, and allowed to fuel our sense of wonder. For it is in the spaces between what we know and what we yearn to understand that the true magic of the universe often resides.